Welcome to the GameChanger 00100 show. I'm your host, GameChanger. And I haven't done an after show in a while, but I actually, while in the time I planned on watching this, I really wanted to watch it. I got a phone call from somebody that I haven't spoken to in quite some time. And I was in and out from speaking to her. And so I didn't get to hear the whole thing. I did hear the last part. And I said, I'm going to watch it again. So why not watch it again with all of y'all? So salute to everybody in the chat. Greatly appreciate y'all from coming over here from Chantelle's or from wherever. But yeah, this has to be covered. All right. So a little introduction. I spoke to Obi before on Bernard Riley's channel. I don't remember really the context of the conversation or anything like that, but I do remember the type of person he was, and that is he was like one of these pro-black types, these community. However, all the responsibility and obligation and change and improvement of the community seems to fall under the yoke of black men. Now, it's nothing wrong with being community minded. However, what I notice is that when black people talk about the community, it's really boils down to BBC and BBW and how to get the two together. I repeat, when the men are talking about community, it's about embracing BBW. And when the women are talking about the community, it's about give me that BBC. Community is let's get the BBC to go into the BBW. Chronically, it's never about actual change to it. Now they like to accuse the manosphere, hit the like button. They like to accuse the manosphere and those of its ilk of doing that, of not really making any significant change and complaining about something. Kind of like the way Martin Luther King was complaining about segregation. It's kind of like those type of complaints. It's those type of things that they're talking about. No, it's not about that. These are legitimate concerns. We are not going to sacrifice my precious, precious penis for the sake into the pit of a fat ass bitch just to say that I perpetuated a community to create another generation of fat ass bitches. We are not going to do that. Not anymore. I am Gandalf. I am Gandalf Nidus. You shall not pass. And this is Sparta. We as men have to say, you know something? Sometimes less is more. And by less, I mean less subpar bitches. That is what I mean. If you want to save the community, it starts in one place only, and that is the gym. That is the gym, the kitchen, the bedroom. It starts with you becoming a better bitch and continuing onto the process of bitch betterness onto perpetuity. How dare you? How dare you come and say and tell me to save anything? You deserve nothing. You deserve what you work for and what you work out for. Chantelle is saving the community just by being in shape and being an example of others, for men what to look for and for women what to look like. She is saving the community. God damn it. How dare you with the audacity to say some shit like that? To try to insinuate that she's not doing work. She is given a better perspective. And the better perspective is if you do not change, the community will burn. She's talking to the woman in the mirror, telling her to change. If you want to make the community a better place, take a look at yourself, then make the change. You see, problem with dudes like this, and the reason why they are successful at what they do with their types of messages is for one fundamental reason and two fundamental reasons alone. And that is because men have a strong sense of accountability. And women have a very weak sense of accountability. Now, how does that play out in this scenario, in these type of scenarios? It means that when a man feel accountable for something, even if it's not their fault. And women don't feel accountable for something, even when it is their fault. Let's be clear, even when it is their fault. Meaning that you can walk around subpar with that funny ass smell that some of you bitches got. You could walk around like that all the time with a goddamn bonnet on. You walking around with a bonnet on talking about how come you ain't got no husband. You are out your damn mind. You want my precious, precious penis inside of that, thinking that is going, what, for the community? Listen, you listen me good, you nasty bitch. If your vagina don't sell itself, stop trying to attach the community to it. Okay? You think anybody, who else? Where else in the world is that going on? Where else in the world do chicks gotta say, take one for the team? What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay, you fellas know what I'm talking about when some of you fellas took one for the team, meaning that you had to boink a unsavory chick, or you had to entertain an unsavory chick for the sake of the team so that the homie can get another chick. These chicks are saying, yeah, I drink a lot of water. You're right. That was a water bottle. You know the sound. That's good. You're a healthy person. Yeah, it wasn't a glass of Kool-Aid, thank goodness. But yeah, anyway, you are telling men to take one for the team. And what the manosphere and men like myself are saying, that it's one too many. And what Chantelle is saying is that women, don't be the one that men have to fuck out of obligation. Do you know how bad that sounds? It's supposed to be something that men aggressively seek, not something. Yeah. Us men are gonna have fun. Us men are going to have fun. God damn it. And you have fun trying to convince greater men to fuck lesser women. You have fun trying to do that. You have fun trying to clean up other people's mess. And you could start with this fucking water bottle that I just threw at the wall. That's where you could start. You like cleaning up other people's shit? Guess what? I got a garage. I got a backyard full of weeds. You come pick that. Come pick that. You like cleaning up other people's shit. And you want to know what it causes when you do stuff like that? It causes more people to shit, knowing that somebody like you is going to clean it up. Is going to clean it up. You think that rebuilding shit that other people constantly destroy is doing something? No, you got to learn it yourself. Sometimes you got to teach people to pick up after themselves. And by pick up after themselves, I'm talking about picking up a fucking treadmill. Talking about picking up a salad. Pick up better parenting techniques. Pick up some yoga. Pick up a damn hobby to burn some calories. The community. If you talk about what about these bitches that are with poor nutrition? And don't tell me about no nutrition desert. Do not tell me. Open up a fruit stand in the community and see how quick it go out of business. It's stuff like that I'm talking about. But without further ado, let's get into the show, because I didn't even see it yet. But I know this dude. From Bernard Riley's show. Hold on. Oh crap. Let me put some people in the matrix. Hold on. Hold on. All right. So crap. Give me a second, y'all. All right. How do you spell that? Terrell Boxley. All right. Let me get you P-O-R. All right. There you go. And you are in there. All right. It says, I just landed in Miami from South America. He is the reason why I'm buying more tickets ASAP to escape. Exactly. Exactly. If something is subpar, you do not show it greater unity. No, you cannot have a one-sided loyalty to anyone or any entity. Period. Do not set yourself up for failure in that regard. All right. So, and he said again, it says, the only take I'm taking is a flight. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, do what you must, but you are not obligated. You want me to reduce my penis to 13% of the female population, and for what? For them to get fatter? No, no. Women, you must compete. Just like every software engineer, black software engineer, and black doctor, and black lawyer, and black mailman have to compete with other races of men for jobs and opportunity. You have to compete with other races and ethnicity and women for my penis, and that is foreign and domestic. You think that that these H-1B dudes aren't out after your job here from there? Yes, we have to compete foreign and domestic, and so do you. Damn it. All right. Where is it? I was doing so much. I lost where Chantelle's stream is. Okay, here we go. Hit the like button, people.
Maybe because is my audio good?
Tell me if you have trouble hearing it.
Yeah, my audio is good. I think we have 36 likes already because I said it I had said it 2 days out, and I don't usually do that. But shout out to everybody who liked the video. If you have not already, please go ahead and hit the like button. Also, We Need to Talk channel is linked in the title. So go on over and subscribe. We're gonna have a logical conversation. And Jason said,
all right, let me move forward.
And productive. Melody, I see you in here. Shout out to Sweet Melody Speaks.
Oh, she's in here too. Shout out to Sweet Melody Speaks, love.
I'm still calling you your old channel name. Shout out to Melody. Thank you so much for being here, Sweet Melody.
That's because Sweet Melody Speaks is a better name. Change your name back.
I'm always forgetting my AirPods whenever.
All right.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, perfect. Yes, I can.
All right. Thank you so much.
I'm ready.
Absolutely. Thank you so much
I'm ready.
For joining the conversation. If you don't mind introducing yourself and just telling us what your channel is about.
Sure. So my name's Alan. I'm the voice behind We Need to Talk. My mission is simple. I want to, through in-depth dialogue, reunite Black men and Black women, right? A lot of times we talk at each other. We talk about each other.
Now, okay, this should fix the echo. Tell me in like 2 minutes if y'all still hear it. But okay, right off the bat, I agree with what he's doing on the surface, and that is a noble cause. See, I don't disagree with what he's doing. I disagree with how he's doing it. Because you see, you want to bring the community back together through dialogue. That is what Chantelle is doing. She's bringing community back together through dialogue. And that dialogue is fix your fat ass. That's the dialogue. There is nothing that will bring Black men and Black women back together than a small waist, pretty face, and a big bank. There is nothing that's quicker to bring us back together. That is the quicker picker upper. A nice shaped Black woman with cornrows. I'm digging her cornrows right now. So yeah, there is nothing that would bring us back together quicker. All this talk about blizz blaz and ham, that don't mean a damn thing when it comes to a nice, slim, attractive Black woman with a respectful disposition. So it's not what you do, it's how you do.
I want to create a platform where people talk to each other. So that's what I've been doing for a year now. So
All right, shout out to you. All right, so let's just dive right into it, right?
let's do
The,
it.
so let us first discuss what SYSBM is. Well, I don't know. I don't even know
Mhm.
what approach I should take it because I did make flyers.
Take your time. I'm
I'm
here.
cheesy like that. All right.
I'm
So for
here.
those of y'all who are confused, they have SYSBM. I have absolutely no idea who came up with this acronym. This is just something that I guess have been floating around in the quote unquote manosphere. Save yourself, black men. It's about black men putting themselves first and putting their best interests first. Alan or Courtney. I've been seeing Courtney's the first person I heard mention it. She said it was
Mhm.
your movement. Says SYCBM, Save Your
Mhm.
Community, Black Men. Can
Mhm.
you dive into what Save Your Community means, what it looks like, and
Yes.
why you thought of it?
So, one of the things that people notice in the conversations that I have with women is they call it incredible amount of patience that I use. And the only reason I'm able to do that is because I put the conversation in the proper historical context. So when I'm talking to women, I talk about all the reasons why they see black men the way that they do and how that informs their behavior. So when I think of savior community black men, and the reason why I coined that phrase, I think about it from the perspective of history and the perspective of capitalism. Um, the white power structure benefits from egotistic women. It benefits from women who are beyond reproach, who don't listen, who
These words are true.
can do no wrong,
These
right?
words are true.
And it also benefits from men who lack audacity, for men who are docile, for men who are weak,
This is
right?
also true.
So when
Yes.
I think of the Marcus Garveys, when I think of the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, when black men have audacity, things happen. So when I think of savior community,
Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. You want to know what these three men have in common? The common thread of these three men? None of them, not one of them, not a single one married a fat, ugly bitch. Not a one. You see, they come from communities worth saving. They have families worth protecting. And I'm not talking about all the cobbled together shit that we have right now that we call family, where, it's three baby daddies and you have two kids from a previous arrangement. And then you adopted one of the grandkids to make into your kids and shit like that. And then, here's a story of a lovely lady. I'm not talking about no crap like that. I'm talking about actual families with actual decent women to protect. The women have met their obligation to, and all three have traveled, right? The women have fulfilled their obligation to the men, and the men said, now it's my turn. Now you have given me your all, and I am going to give you my all. Situations like that breed men like that. It wasn't a bunch of single dudes that got together and say, I am going to do this for other people families. Man.
black men, I think of a coalition of black men understanding, obviously, our women have their issues, but the change must start with us. And if you have decided to leave, I'm not even from this country, so technically I'm a passport bro. But if you've decided to leave, that is what it is. That's cool. But if you've left and you spend 90% of your time highlighting problems that you're not interested in solving, that's what I don't understand. So for me, And the black men like myself who still believe in our community, who still believe.
I don't know what that means when you say our community. You just say that you came here from the Dahomey tribe. So I don't really understand what you mean when you say our community. Because essentially what you're saying is that when I seen that it was in my best interest to take advantage of what other countries have for me, I took that deal. And I built the community where I landed. I don't think that Passport Bros are doing anything different than that. I really don't.
Believe in the fact that we can't outrun our problems, who still believe that our women are.
That's why you here. That is why you. That wasn't a water bottle. That is why you are here. We can't outrun our problems, says the immigrant. What the fuck was that? That is why you are here. Holy crap. Okay, I'm going to try to make this not where I stop it every 30 seconds, but damn.
Are worth saving. Our daughters are worth saving. The savior community movement is just, just a paradigm to kind of drive home that point that we're not giving up on this battle, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it is.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
You said that it was, and I'm taking notes, that's why I'm looking down. You said that it
Sure.
was a, for men like yourself who believe
Mm-hmm.
in the community. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like to believe that the community, there's hope in the Black community.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And, like how would that look like based on the current states of the community, like in terms of like a time frame, like what changes would happen for the community to be better?
Absolutely. And the problem is multifaceted, the problem is complex, and the problem was instituted over generations, over decades, right? So it's not going to change overnight. I'm not naive. However, the part that I want to play is the part when it comes to information, right? The ways that we think about ourselves, the ways that we think about the world. So one of my long-term goals, and the only reason I'm on YouTube, is to eventually be able to create media that tells our story. And when I say our story, I'm talking about the global Black community that tells our story authentically and that tells our story from our perspective. And I think that alone can change the paradigm of how we think about ourselves. And when I say ourselves, how Black men think about Black men, how Black women think about Black women, and how Black women think about Black men, and vice versa. And I think that's just a step in the right direction, especially given the fact that this is one of the very first times where Black men have the mic, where Black men are in the driver's seat, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on, on the street. But Black men are the ones who are shaping the narrative and literally standing up for ourselves in the global kind of zeitgeist. And I think it's important that we're responsible with this time and that we keep the main thing the main thing. So for me, the main thing is, what are my future sons going to have to deal with in the world? What is my daughter going to have to deal with?
Good questions. Because I share the same goal. I don't want your future son to deal with a bunch of fat, belligerent bitches. That is what I don't want from your future son. And all of the future sons out there. I don't want your future sons to have to pick between fat and obese. For the sake of the community. That is what I don't want for your future son. And I don't want for your future daughter to be fat or obese. However, something is wrong with that message, isn't it? Something is wrong with that message. Same goal, different approach. So I'd like to thank Brenda Muma for becoming a channel member. Welcome. You will be in the matrix every time I see you. Greatly appreciate you. Okay, Andre Brooks. I appreciate you, brother. You say, let's see. So the feds came here with y'all boys. Have fun. Yeah. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, he just wanted to come here to say stuff like, oh yes, I am here
in the world. So, if we can at least reshape how we think about ourselves, I think that's going to be really, really powerful.
Do y'all follow Steve Dean Williams? No, I do not follow Steve Dean Williams. But please tell me what great insight and wisdom do we have from him? Why did you bring him up? Like, what the fuck was that?
Powerful.
All right. And I don't want it to seem like I am just asking you questions. So if you have any questions for me, let me read.
Yeah.
If you have any questions.
Why not? Because I'm not a fucking imbecile. The hell is wrong with you? Come to other people's stuff, talk, man. Be stupid elsewhere. Why not? Go to him and ask him why he ain't following me. Simple bastard.
Questions for me, feel free to ask. So I think one of the major issues, and I think why all of this even blew up, I had seen you on Shesharde, great content creator. If you can please drop Shesharde's channel in the chat. No, Miss Michon, she has not started her hair channel yet, but she will soon. I saw you on Shesharde's platform, I want to say about 6 or 7 weeks ago, something like that. And I saw Courtney Michelle in the chat, and she was saying, the SYSBM. And that's when you guys were basically saying, it's the Savior Community Black Men. Now, this was also around the time when the Passport Bro movement was kind of going viral, when Austin Alleman was, that was like a hot topic in the space. Would you say Savior Community Black Men was inspired by the Passport Bros movement?
No, not at all. So, the conversation that even led to me switching the self to community was a conversation I had with Richie Mack, the Zoom to Thailand. And we were talking about how a lot of the comments that I get under my videos are kind of, the guys who would say certain things about my guest and then hashtag save yourself black man. So pretty much they were using my content as kind of fodder for an ideology that they believed in. And, I was talking to him about it as being kind of the unspoken kind of, Michael Jordan of it. And, he was telling me that he didn't realize that. He didn't realize that it was that deep for dudes. He was just making content.
Look at this pathetic human being. Not a man in my book. First of all, you have lost in life if your masculinity is tied to a woman's willingness to fuck you. It really shows the absence, the amount of pussy you don't get here in the States, because when you do, you feel like it's a man, like I'm a man now. You're like Pac-Man that eat that eat that big pellet, and you say, oh yes, I am somebody now. It really shows that you're not used to the big pellet. Loser ass nigga you. See, it don't matter. It don't matter if you can't get it here and you just want it better there. It don't matter if listen, nigga, if I fuck a new black bitch each and every single day, I still want to go to Japan and fuck a chick in a geisha uniform while watching Dragon Ball Z in the background with a bunch of samurai swords hanging off the wall, because that's what the fuck I want to do. If I want to bend a bitch over the Great Wall of China, that's what the fuck I want to do. If I want to do it doggy style on top of the Egyptian pyramid, that's what the fuck I want to do. How dare you? You judge your manhood on this domestic mediocre pussy? Nigga, kill yourself.
that he was making. He's about to zoom to Africa. So, you know, I was just, you know, me and him were having that conversation, and then we did a stream about it, you know. So it was myself, it was him, it was then Courtney. So I introduced Courtney to Richie, and we had that conversation, and then the Savior community thing came up. And then Courtney, she did her due diligence to find information about kind of the origins of Save Yourself Black Man. And apparently they have tenets, they have like bylaws, they have, this is what we are, this is what we're not. And as we were going through these tenets, even Richie himself, who is currently in Thailand, said, yeah, I don't fuck with this, right? One of the tenets, for example, was saying, you have no obligation, you have no responsibility to your community, Black man. And I think, you know, I always get it mixed. I don't know if divestors call it.
Now, just so you know, I'm not SYSBM. I don't even know all the tenets. However, I do not turn down pick me pussy, foreign or domestic, unless I am already in the process of, unless I'm already in pick me pussy at the time of me turning it down. I do not turn it down pick me pussy. If you ain't fucking pick me's, you ain't fucking shit. I say it again. If you ain't fucking pick me's, you ain't fucking shit. I do not turn down pick me pussy. So therefore, I cannot be full-blown SYSBM. However, I do feel one's obligation to any entity should reflect the entity's obligation to the individual. It's this type of thinking that keeps individuals from being overworked and underpaid. If you find yourself in that situation, it's because the entity don't value your efforts as much as you value the entity itself. If you find yourself in that situation, then you should reevaluate your loyalty to that thing.
Community, or divestors, or Save Yourself calls it community or Blackistan, but there are a lot of similarities. And that's when we had that conversation, because my very first stream was a conversation with a divestor. I had a 4-hour dialogue with a divestor. And I made the point that when I see some of these comments under my videos, and again, like I said, I have no issue with men having their passport. I have no issue with men traveling. I have no issue with men finding Black women over, all over the world. But when I hear some of the talking points, it's very reminiscent of my 4-hour dialogue with the divestor. Like I said, community, Blackistan, same shit. Dusties, Shaniqua, same shit. Like it's a lot of the same shit. And ultimately, it's continuing to perpetuate this narrative that not only are we not worth saving, our community is not worth saving. Our community is something to be given up on. And like I've always said, at the point where I believe that, I will no longer be on YouTube, right? I don't believe in talking for the sake of talking. I don't believe in just hearing myself because I think I sound smart. Unfortunately, I'm finding that's not the case for most people on YouTube. And that's kind of where the beef originally started from. But like I've stated multiple times, I have no issue with individuals wanting to be individualistic. I only have an issue when you waste my time and spew some of your filth on what it is that I'm trying to do.
When you said,
what do you mean waste your time? You spent 4 hours talking to a divestor. Did she not divest? Did she not divest after 4? Oh, it's a waste of time. Listen. The divestor that you were talking to, what she wanted was discount dick. You see, there's a reason that divestors and SYSBM don't get together and bite each other's ass. There is a reason for that. And the reason for that is because she is subpar. The reason for that is he can do better than her. She is looking for more than what she deserves from him. That's why. She wants discount dick. She wants dick that she doesn't have to take her bonnet off for. She wants dick that she don't have to wash her hair for. She wants dick that she don't have to go to the gym for. She wants dick that she don't have to diet for. She wants dick that she don't have to maintain responsible sexual mating practices for. She wants dick that she can be the head of. She wants dick that she don't have to submit to. However, she wants the same benefits from said penis of a woman who did all of those things. See, she wants Chantelle quality penis. And by Chantelle quality penis, I mean the penis that's due to women of Chantelle quality. She wants that to be readily available to her. Now, why does she feel that she should get it? Because of welfare. You see, welfare is basically something that says, yeah, so what? I'm a nerd and I'm long-winded. Listen or shut. Anyway. Welfare has initiated the belief that a person not working or sparsely working deserves as much or more than a person who is hard working to a working poor. That is that mentality. So they feel that, hey, if I can get free stuff without putting in work in this regard, then I should get free penis without putting in work in other regards. That's what they're saying. That is what they actually want. That is what divestors want. And also, to keep it a buck, what you just did, we need to talk. We need to talk because what you just did to that divestor chick is you spent 4 hours, and what she did was she internalized. Because you see, here's the thing. Talking to women, for the overwhelming most part, is what men do when they want to fuck. So women, when guys spend countless hours on the phone, et cetera, talking to you, it's because we want you to take your panties off. However, these divestment bitches don't get that feeling. They don't get that feeling. They don't get the feeling of desire of listening to conversations about blizz blaz and ham that we don't give a shit about. Yeah, that turns the women on. That makes them feel valuable. They like, yeah, he listening to me. He understands. He's so sensitive. He's so generous. Yeah, because he's doing this because of my pussy. He's doing this because my pussy is worth something like this. And each minute of bullshit conversation he spends with me is a tribute to how valuable he think my pussy is. And you give those bitches that for free. You got her thinking that her pussy is worth 4 hours of conversation. It is not. Fuck it, step the fuck on.
That there are some problems in the community, because are you able to see the perspective of
just the fact that you are divesting? Just the fact that you are divesting really says that your pussy ain't worth a damn. Why? Because you have to actually invest in order for your pussy doesn't stand alone. You have to invest. You're saying, see, you're one of these BLM bitches. You're one of these BLM bitches that be marching all through April and May, hoping that somebody thinks that your pussy is worth a damn. It is not. It is not worth a damn. The fact that you have to march for it. You think, see, when your pussy is worth a damn, that's why they have fairy tales. When your pussy is worth a damn, you don't have to do shit. Snow White got a prince while she was asleep. Rapunzel he climbed the hair for her. She didn't have to say, oh yeah, but you know, if you do this, you'll do it for the community. Nope. See, they don't have to say, oh, if you don't do this, I'm going to divest. Fuck your investment.
Not saying it was on purpose or anything, but we all gotta admit that it was somewhat of a coincidence, I guess is the word that we can use, that Savior Community Black Men popped up around the time the Passport Bros popped up, right? So can you see the perspective of how a lot of these quote unquote Passport Bros or SYSBMs would take that as if your movement, I'm sorry, would you call it a movement? What would you
Ministry.
call it?
I call it a ministry. Yeah.
Okay, so do you see how then a lot of people would interpret your ministry incorrectly? Like how, you know, saying a bunch of men are saying, go get your passport, go find wives elsewhere. And then your ministry popped up right in the midst of that saying, nah, save your community, Black men. Do you see that perspective?
Absolutely. And that's.
Wait a minute. Is this dude trying to say that SYCBM has nothing to do with SYSBM? Is he saying that? Is he trying to say, oh, no, SYCBM has nothing to do with SYSBM? That's like saying Hunt's ketchup or Hunt's catsup has nothing to do with Heinz ketchup. That's like saying Kruger's fruit rings has nothing to do with Fruit Loops. That's like saying McDowell's has nothing to do with McDonald's. Hate shit like that. You lying ass. All right.
That's why, you know, I tell people to not be so reactionary. I know it's a generational thing. These days we have so much information that we react as opposed to responding, because there's a lot of context, right? They're about
a reaction is a reaction is a response. Anyway,
3-hour live streams where this came up. There was, I did a live stream entitled "Please Unsubscribe," and I took the time to talk about what it is that I'm trying to do on this channel. And for the people who are interested in that, this is for you. For the people who are not interested in that, this is not for you. So it wasn't a response to Save Yourself. I've known about Save Yourself Black Men a long time. MGTOW, Red Pill. I'm a student. I know all this stuff, right? However, you know, as somebody who is making this content, this very deliberate, this very specific content, if you watch any of my videos, it comes through with a purpose. I was just making the point that, you know, if you're done, be done. If you're done, I'm not the creator for you. There are a bunch of there are Austin Hollemans.
Okay, so if a divestor's done, then just let her be done.
You know, eat that up, super chat him, that's cool. But if you're interested in, even if like I've talked to men who are married to Asian women, for instance, and they're high-ranking men, and they say, you know what, I'm already married, but I hope what you do works. I had another guy say, I'm done, but I hope what you do works. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just, I'm done, fuck what you're doing, I hope it fails. It's like, I'm done, but yeah, I see what it is that you're trying to do, and I appreciate the deliberateness that you approach this with. So for those men, salute to them. But for the men who just want to, it's almost like a sense of, because I was unable to do it, you're going to fail too. So I'm.
Okay, here's the extent I agree with that. I don't agree with the whole trying to make it burn or anything like that. So there is a there. However, what I see SYSBM doing, by the way, I'm not SYSBM, but what I see them doing is it's an understanding. It's an understanding that no man is an island. And if I am going to create a separate community, I don't want to be alone in that regard. So that's where the encouragement of others come in. And he's saying that he's giving pushback to that.
I'm gonna watch you fail as you stumble forward.
And I also don't agree with hoping that, the remaining Black community fail. I really don't. I do respect the indifference, and I also understand why like, okay, take the Orientals, particularly the Chinese, right? Chinese come here, California, and they build little Chinatowns and stuff like that. So they encourage others. They call their family. They're like, okay, I came here. I got my H-1B. Now I'm gonna marry somebody. She come here, and we're going to do some stuff. And we're gonna try to get as many family members here as we possibly can. And we're going to create a community. Now that requires convincing Chinese people in China to leave to come here. The land of the tall people. They have to do that in order for them to actually have a community, or else they'll just be like this one Bruce Lee type nigga just walking around the hood. They don't want that, so they are encouraging communities to begin anew.
Shout out to you, Derek. Thank you so much for being in here, and shout out to everybody who's in here. Go ahead and hit the like button. I hear what you're saying, and I do agree. It's like there's not what I say. It's not one way to skin a cat or something like that. You can help save the community in many different ways. But thinking of it, like Kevin Samuels always say, men are cost benefit calculators, right? So in thinking of the most logical way possible, wouldn't focusing on individuals, peace, individuals' best interest. And when I say individual, I mean you as a man, your wife as the woman, the children, because we all know individuals make up family, and then families make up communities. So in encouraging people to go and focus on themselves, then focus on your immediate family, in the long run, then that will benefit the community.
No. So, I'm Nigerian. I came to this country when I was 8 years old. And in recent years, I've been fortunate enough to really get a deep and nuanced understanding of Black history. And one of the best things that I learned is how Black history here influenced a lot of our revolutions back home on the continent, even in Nigeria in particular. And a lot of those things that gave birth to Pan-Africanism, as we know it today, it kind of, boiled down to the idea of one band, one sound. It boiled down to the idea that we're stronger together than we are apart. However, when you fast...
But you are apart from Nigeria. You are apart from Nigeria. Like I don't really get that aspect. I get it. You were 8 when you moved here, but your parents are apart from that. So you came here to set up a family with a local American woman. What's wrong with Passport Bros doing the same? Pan-Africanism or Passport Bros, yeah.
Fast forward into a modern context, capitalism literally fuels itself by individualism, right? It fuels itself by every individual believing that they deserve the best despite what anybody else does or gets. Everybody wants to be the one Black dude who makes it out the hood. And I don't give a shit what happens back home, right? But then when you think about, the African concept of Sankofa, you might be flying, but you have to turn around and look back at what's going on. It's inherently an idea of you owe a duty to your village just as much as your village owes a duty to you. So no.
Okay. That is true, provided that the village paid a duty to you. I repeat, that is true, provided that a village paid a duty to you. Like when you think of the word "owe," that's a debt. That's, if somebody, loaned me some money, right? Somebody gave me a loan, then I owe it to them to pay it back. However, if they didn't loan me shit, then I don't owe them shit. And anything that I decide to contribute to it is charity, and it should be welcomed and appreciated as such. You see, my ex is African. She's from Cameroon, right? And one of the things that fascinated her and her family about the US is that we put our parents in homes, which is something that's not done there. They don't really put their elderly in homes. Their elderly stay with them. The children take care of the parents. And yeah. And the reason for that, the reason why that makes sense is because the parents take care of the kids. You see, if the parents take care of the kids, then it makes all the sense in the world. If the parents take care of the kids when the kids can't take care of themselves, it makes all the sense in the world for the kids to take care of the parents, and to the parents when the parents can't take care of themselves. It does. However, what's going on under the modern parent-child dynamic is that the parents aren't taking care of the kids to the extent that they used to. So the kids aren't taking care of the parents to the extent that they used to. If you are one of those kids who mama divorced daddy and mama worked during the day and partied at night, and you was one of those kids with a key around your neck, no help with the homework, no bedtime stories, no nothing. You just kind of like did chores, and for whatever reason, you spent more time doing chores than you did homework. But she didn't care as long as them dishes got washed. And you grew up like that, and then on your 18th birthday, you got kicked the fuck out. And hopefully you got a scholarship. If not, fuck you. Hopefully you got a job that pays worth a damn, because minimum wage is not going to cut it in California or New York or Jersey or Detroit or Chicago or wherever brothers like to live. So fuck you. Hopefully you don't have any ailments that'll keep you out the military. You see, you owe to your parents what your parents gave to you. And if your parents was one of those, Gerber college fund type parents, that made sure that she took time out to go to your piano recitals and all that crap, then yes, you do. Then that person does not belong in a home. If your dad was tarring roofs so he can make sure that you got the best education, he does not belong into a home. You see, it's reciprocity. Get out what you put in. What has the Black community put into Black boys? Barack Obama attempted to start My Brother's Keeper. And Black men and women, the Black community, shot it down. What do the Black community give Black boys? Oh, the same thing that Black men should be given it. Nursing home.
There's no historical backing of individualism leading to a collectivist mindset. Typically, when people are individual,
and he's Nigerian, So he don't understand that. Well, he do because he was raised here. But you see, he still has the mindset of that. He still has the mindset of, and trust me, in California, you got to meet Nigerians. The kids stay at home till like 25. The parents watch after the kids, not until they stop being able to declare them as dependents on a tax return. No, they look after the kids until the kids no longer needs looking after.
Individualistic. They never go the other way.
Okay, we're having a great conversation. I'm appreciating this. I know a lot of people. I shout out to you, Alan. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat. This is sidebar, right? Mm-hmm. Hardly, especially in on YouTube, you will hear a conversation with people who have opposing views speak, and they're not shouting, speak and they're not cursing, speak and they're not talking over each other. And I know a lot of people are foreign to that, like we don't see that. Let's call a spade a spade. It's always screaming and shouting, calling names, using emotions. So in me asking you a question, or in me, you say something and then I say, but wouldn't this mean XYZ? Please don't take it as me being combative. I am honestly trying to understand somebody else's perspective. So let us just chill a little bit. I'm not talking to you specifically. I'm not saying you specifically.
Yeah, no, but just to add to it, like I really appreciate it, and that's one of the main things that I'm hoping to achieve through this channel, because there are times when I'm interviewing somebody and they're completely missing my point. I'm interviewing somebody and they are immediately combative. And one of the things I've hoped that I've been able to do is at least model how to approach and conquer, in a way, combative conversation. So I try to lead by example as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. You had said something that stood out to me. You said one black dude making it out the hood, that one black dude making it out the hood mentality. And then you had said that he owes his village his quote unquote loyalty. That's not what you said, but
Sure.
And then you also said just as his village owes him his loyalty. But then with that being said, in the current state of the black community, is the black man owning the black.
Okay. Through all this talk of loyalty, the topic of respect is being overlooked. You do realize that you can be loyal and disrespectful. I repeat, you can be loyal and disrespectful to something, someone, an entity, etc., etc., etc. And that is what black men have experienced for quite some time. A group of people who are loyal and disrespectful. Whenever you hear these chicks say, we're loyal to the black men, but it's not a matter of loyalty. Fuck your loyalty. Why in the fuck do I want somebody the loyalty of a disrespectful entity? I don't want the loyalty of a disrespectful entity at all. Basically, if somebody's loyal and disrespectful, it means that they're going to disrespect you loyally. You can count on me to disrespect you. I owe it to you.
Black community, its loyalty. Is the black community reciprocating that loyalty to the black man, though?
That's a very nuanced question, and the reason I say that is because we've heard the African proverb, if a child doesn't feel embraced.
I don't think you can be disrespectful and loyal. What do you think slavery is? What the hell? What do you think slavery is? It is a consistent state of disrespect. They were loyal. What the fuck?
the black man owning the black community, its loyalty. Is the black community reciprocating that loyalty to the black man though?
That's a very nuanced question, and the
Answer
reason I
it.
say that is
Answer it.
because we've heard the African proverb, if a child doesn't feel embraced by his village, he'll burn it down to feel its warmth, right? So I completely understand that. I've been a black man for all my life, so I'm not speaking of this from the outside.
Really? You were a baby? You were a man as a baby? You was a man as a boy? You weren't a black man your whole damn life. Okay, that was petty.
Looking in. With that being said, that's specifically why I approach this conversation through a historical lens.
Answer the question.
So when I'm talking to women, and by the way, like,
this was a contemporary question. She said, is the community respecting the black men now? Now. Bato. Now. Is it respecting it now? That is why I say it. This dude is evasive. It's like he has the same evasive tactics as Court. Oh! This nigga trying to fuck. He's either trying to fuck or he fucked. Okay, now it's all making sense. It is all making sense now. That's why they have that same talking pattern of evading Chantelle's direct and logical questions. Oh, crap. Okay. Got it.
Today's episode was episode 95, right? And before that, We Need to Talk was a nonprofit in colleges. We're at 7 different schools starting in 2000.
By the way, I'm not above fucking any of you women who subscribe to me that just so happen to be attractive. I'm not. I am not going to let it change my direct views of anything. Anything that I say or do on my platform, like my loyalties, my allegiances, my alliances, and things like that, and my points of views and my perspectives will not be altered by your pussy. Just saying. Or the attempt at it.
2013. So this isn't new to me. The reason why I take the historical context route is to put things in the proper perspective. Like we have to, for Black women who have this visceral negative reaction to Black men, we have to talk about Birth of a Nation. We have to talk.
That is the most non-answer answer I've ever heard.
About propaganda. We have to talk about mass incarceration, because if we're not talking about these things, it's easy to oversimplify it to, oh, Black women just look at us as criminals, right? As opposed to really boiling it down to what actually happened. And even when I had the conversation with the divester, one of the things I said to her, I said, it's unfortunate that we run and we find solace in the people who put us in this predicament in the first place. Right, because her old MO was that Black masculinity is inferior, white masculinity is superior, and I asked her, why is that? What happened? And she couldn't answer that. So again, for me, and this is where
you see that he still hasn't answered the question. He's back to this whole. Okay, so what he's doing is now he's taken the Black men, I'm defending you against these swirler divestors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't give a damn. If a swirler or divester ever said some crap like that to me, white man's masculinity is superior to Black man's masculinity, I'll say it's because he came out of a white vagina, like my son Will, you nasty bitch. Don't try to get my goat. There's worthwhile pussy, and then there's not worthwhile pussy. And yes, Ruby, I did say I would smash Janaea Moore, even though she's feminist. She's one of the few feminists I smashed because she's not one of those buzz cut bitches with armpit hairs. She actually looks worth a damn. But yeah.
Encourage other YouTubers, including yourself. If we're not having these conversations in context, our dysfunction never ends. But if we do have it in the proper context, then yes, oh, I understand what they did to us. I understand what they did to our women. I understand why they think and move the ways that they do. I can have a bit more grace, not necessarily saying I have to settle for bullshit. I've never said that on my channel, but I can have a little bit more grace, number one. Number two, I know what to look for. I actually know what to look for. I'm not as triggered. I'm not as emotional. And, we can step by step push this thing forward.
What would you say are some of the current dysfunctions in the Black community?
Man, I've talked about it ad nauseum. Number one, from a political perspective, we don't.
Hold on, I missed the question. I want to see how he evades this question. Because he just completely word saladed his way out of that one. I want to see how he does that with the next one.
We can step by step push this thing forward.
What would you say are some of the current dysfunctions in the Black community?
Look at how nice pick-me's are. Look at how nice pick-me's are. She ignored the fact that he ignored the question and just moved to the next question on our list of questions.
I've never said that on my channel, but I can have a little bit more grace, number one. Number two, I know what to look for. I actually know what to look for. I'm not as triggered. I'm not as emotional. And, we can step by step push this thing forward.
What would you say are some of the current dysfunctions in the Black community?
Man, I've talked about it ad nauseum. Number one, from a political perspective, we don't speak with one voice financially. So for instance, the Asian community has the lowest voter turnout rate, but they have super PACs. They pull their money together and they make moves as one entity, as opposed to relying on marches or relying on just pulling at the heartstrings of politicians. We can see clearly historically it didn't work. One of the things I talk about is that Martin Luther.
Ever notice how when guys like this talk about the virtues of Asian people, they never mention slim, submissive women? Ever notice that? Like, really stop and think about it. Yeah, Asian people, they don't march. What they do is they pull their money into super PACs, and they crouch tigers and hide dragons. That is the strength of Asian people. How about the strength of Asian people be those little ninja flip bitches that with no titties that raise their kids to be doctors and stuff like that, and that stay with their men through thick and thin, no matter how little his dick is. How about that? How about that? How about more of that? How about dealing with a group of women who marry a man young, have a bunch of kids, send them all to Harvard, and then when she looks like she's 25 until she's 85, and then all of a sudden she looks like 118. How about telling them that when you talk about the virtues of ageicity? Huh? 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 Community starts with the vagina of an in-shaped pick-me. I repeat, communities starts from the vagina of an in-shaped pick-me.
the king that everybody, hails, even white people now hail as this martyr. Um, his rhetoric changed from "I have a dream" to "the other America." He wasn't assassinated for talking about the kumbaya, we could all live together. He got assassinated when he started talking about economics. He started talking about we are owed, well, not we, but black people in this country are owed reparations. That's when he got assassinated. So again, our first problem is money. And I start with money, unfortunately, because, one of the things we see is that scarcity literally reduces your IQ. So even when we talk about people twerking at restaurants or people doing this dumb shit or this dumb shit on World Star, poverty, scarcity mindset has literally been measured to reduce your IQ, reduces your ability to think functionally and think.
Well, you're almost proving yourself right with that one. Listen, basically, he's talking about chicken and egg. Is a person Does a person have a low IQ because they're poor, or is a person poor because they have a low IQ? Either way, it really has nothing, neither of those situations leads to somebody twerking at Bella Noche's or some crap like that. Are you saying that twerking is a low IQ thing? So the next time you just see somebody twerking for no damn reason, you're like, oh, that person is a low IQ. Like, what if they're just like an ass shaking savant of some sort? Like, what if they just like fucking twerk their ass and then just go home and figure out linear equations and shit like that? Like, what if they on some goodwill twerking type shit where they're that kid that's the janitor, and then they at Princeton, and then the teacher would leave complex math equations on the thing, and then they go and fill it out, and then they go home and twerk. What if that's the case? Are you saying that there's a correlation between IQs and shaking your ass? Because I just so happen to know a chick that got 180 IQ while twerking. She actually took the test while shaking her ass, and she still... No, I'm joking. I don't know anybody like that. Oh, I'm going to go to hell. Let me continue.
From a higher place, from a place of consequence in the whole nine. And that's what leads to the things that we see. So money. And then from there, we get into education. And then from there, we get into families. And all those things are intertwined, right? Because, family leads to generational wealth. Generational wealth promotes family. It's all kind of a beautiful cycle. But,
family leads to generational wealth. Generational wealth leads to family. And you want to know what leads to all that? A submissive woman's vagina. I repeat, a submissive woman's vagina. Family starts with a submissive woman's vagina. That is where families come from. Cain and Abel, vagina. Like you can't have one without the other. It starts with a submissive woman's vagina. That is the root of all community. That is the root of all trees. That is the soil in which the seeds are planted. If you want to have a family tree, you need soil. If you want to have a community, which would be analogous to a forest of family trees, you need soil. However, what we have in the Black community is a fucking desert.
It all starts with what it is that happened to us.
Let's start, and I appreciate that you focus on I wrote it down, historical, through a historical lens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we need to know where we're coming from to know where we are and where we.
Historical lens means blame everything on slavery. Historical lens means blame everything on whitey. For some reason, the bitch twerking now is because of whitey. She's twerking because she's poor with a low IQ. And she has a low IQ because she's poor, because she's twerking, because she's poor, because of low IQ, because she's twerking, because she's poor, because of low IQ, because she's twerking, because she's poor, because of low IQ, because she's twerking, because she's poor. What the fuck type of sick ass cycle are you on? I mean, hell, by that logic, since they all seem to be like ridiculously intertwined, then I guess by not twerking, your IQ increases. Because, there's a direct correlation. The ass bone's connected to the brain bone's connected to the twerk bone. Like, apparently, since it's all connected, shouldn't stopping twerking increase your IQ by this fucked up logic?
Going if we make the same mistake. But in looking at it from a current lens, right? Would you say that, in my opinion, family was more prioritized back in the days? We had the dads in the household, we had mommy, daddy, kids. But in the current lens, in current society, there are a lot of single moms. There are a lot of people having kids also wedlock. And then we can even break down the statistics that say that there are more percentage-wise single moms than there are single dads. So what that tells us is that multiple women are reproducing with one man. How do you think that affects the state of us helping the community, or a black man? Sorry, I said us, a black man help.
Hey, I just had a twisted thought because my brain is just like that. I pictured like a high school girl getting ready for the SATs. And then a bunch of other high school girls said, let's go twerk. And she said, none of that for me. I got to get ready for this exam. Oh, shit. I'm fucked up. All right.
Helping the community. Going back to the point when you said, it's what he owes his village and what his village is willing to reciprocate. If in the current state of the village, quote unquote, the black community, it's reciprocating a lot of single moms. It's reciprocating that the obesity rate is over 55%. It's reciprocating that we got a lot of people wearing bonnets. As black women, we're not into our image. I haven't even shown any of my gifs yet. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. We have more of these than we do have.
Low IQ. And this is a dude. How fucked up is that? That is a damn dude. Whitey's making him do it.
Have Gail Nelson. Shout out to Gail Nelson if you're in the chat. What are your thoughts on that then, in expecting black men to stay loyal to their village when this is what their village looks like?
Twerking is a Dahomey Holy Ghost. It's not a ritual or something like that. That's a Dahomey go. All right.
Well, number one, that's not all the village looks like, right? This thing is very nuanced. It's very complicated. And the reality of this situation is that it started from a place. And we as a people, and I'm even talking about from an African perspective too, when you consider colonialism, we were placed in a vicious cycle to perpetuate our own dysfunction, right? So a lot of times you'll see a guy who turns out bad in life. He goes to prison or the whole nine. And when you take a step back, you realize, oh, he was born to a mother who was crack addicted. You take a step back, she was born to a father who was abusive. You take a step back, he was born to a mother, you know what I mean? So like And then we have to start with, okay, number one, dysfunction is perpetual.
I agree. So if somebody's saying SYSBM, then you should save yourself from crackhead pussy, so you don't have those type of problems. As far as I know, never slept with a crackhead. Now, maybe I slept with a woman who did crack and she didn't reach the visible stage of crack, meaning that she didn't look like crack yet. She didn't have the crack look yet. Maybe I did, but I never knowingly fucked crackheads. So if you have a community with a lot of crackheads in it, my advice is don't fuck them. If you want to rebuild the community, there's no greater way to rebuild the community but through the vagina of pygmies.
Number two, Black people in this country have never had a break to actually take a deep breath and, recuperate their thoughts. With that being said, my message has never, if you watch any of, literally go to my page and click anything. My message has never been that women are blameless. And this is why I talk to women, right? One of the questions that I ask is, what part did men play in our dysfunction? And then a follow-up question is typically,
well, he just said impregnating crackheads. But you see, because I'm not stuck in the past, I can rightly always say, I am not them niggas. That's why we need to say, like, oh, y'all conquered, y'all this, that, this, and they enslaved y'all. I am not them niggas. Yeah, but grandpa treated on grandma and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. I am not them niggas. Yeah, but what about that guy that impregnated all the crackheads on some Johnny Appleseed, or some Johnny Crackseed shit? I am not them niggas. I am me, and I didn't do shit. I clean up my own mess. And if I decide to clean up yours, that is me being benevolent. And that's another thing. Show some damn respect if you want people to clean up your shit. We're not bookmen on Good Times. You ever notice how bookmen on Good Times? How in the fuck is Florida Evans going to call him fat? She called him Buffalo Butt. Like she's slim. When I was a kid, I watched it. I was like, what the hell? Bitch! How you going to disrespect bookmen? No. If I was bookman, and by the way, this is what I do overseas. Because you could do it and get away with it because they don't know any better. If I was bookman, I would tell all of them motherfuckers to call me Mr. Papadopoulos. You damn right. If y'all catch me in Colombia and then there's like a Colombian chick and they say, oh yes, that's that over there, that's Mr. Papadopoulos. That's GameChanger. That's me. That's my alias. When I go places, Como te llamas? Mr. Papadopoulos. Senor Papadopoulos. That is the coolest name I have ever heard. And I enjoy being called it in various different accents. Yes, Mr. Papadopoulos. Each and every single black man that contribute to the community has earned the moniker of being called Mr. Papadopoulos. You show some respect. Cleaning up your crackhead babies. Little semi-retarded bastards. You deserve some respect.
What part do women play, or did women play in our dysfunction? Because part of moving towards some kind of solution is both parties being able to acknowledge, both parties being able to, you know, kind of lay their burdens down and be like, okay, this is what we did. Basically, not just to say this is what we did, but this is what we can fix. And for women, that includes, picking better men. For women, that includes getting their health together. You know, Kevin Samuels laid it out beautifully: fit, feminine, friendly, friendly, beautiful, inspirational. You know what I'm saying? And
Then
that
we
is
agree
the
to
message
agree.
that I'm preaching to this women, from a place of, you can do this.
Then we
Now,
agree
on
to
the
agree.
flip side, I've also been saying that although manhood should operate independent of female inspiration, the reality is, from a massive standpoint, even when you talk about white people, men are going to go the way that the women are pulling them, right? Like, women say, we like men with a clean haircut. Every dude is going to be bald tomorrow. Women say, I like men with a certain outfit. Every dude is going to go buy that outfit, right? So
depends on the women. Depends on the women. Crackhead said, I like a man with crack. I don't go out and deal crack. It depends on the women. And yes, if worthy women declare, first of all, women lie too much. But if worthy women were to collectively say, I like a thing, and that thing is easy to give, then men would give that thing. That's what other women do. And they don't say stupid shit. And they don't say self-serving shit. They don't say, we want a man that gives us $200 dates. That spend $200 on the first date. That's stupid. Asian women say stuff like, I want a man with 4.0s. And that's what they get. I want a man with a small business on the side. And that's what they get. I want a man that took Calculus 3. And that's what they get. The thing is, they've been saying that. But they say stupid shit attached to it. I want a man with swag. What the fuck was that?
So I'm having this conversation from a very balanced place, but I think the mistake that we make, and I've been critical of certain aspects of the manosphere, is that we hyperfixate on one side. I've also been critical of the womanosphere. They hyperfixate on, it's just men's fault, because they're thinking about it from the lens of their shitty dad.
If you have a broken arm, and then a doctor comes and says, you're hyperfixating on the broken arm, you should fixate on the one that's not broken. It's kind of like telling Captain Hook, you should really focus on the hand that's not a hook. Really? Backwards ass nigga. Imagine a person who has like one messed up eye, right? And then somebody comes along and says, something, you need to put the patch on the other eye. because that eye is not 20/20. You don't have perfect vision out of that eye. So let's talk about that. It's like, no, this eye here, the ball is out the socket. Okay. If you have a bunch of crack vagina out there, you don't talk about the crack selling penis. Now, the reason why people like this do stuff like this is because this gives you an opportunity to say everybody is wrong but me. You're playing whack-a-mole with somebody like this. And people like this, believe it or not, exist in every facet of society. Let's just say if you have a person, right, who likes to talk politics. And then you say, yes, I'm a Democrat because I believe in such and such, such and such, such and such. Well, you shouldn't talk about the Republicans like that. You should understand their side. And then a person says, well, I'm a Republican because I believe in this, this, and this. Well, you shouldn't talk about Democrats like that. You should understand their side. And then it's like, okay, what's your stance on anything? I stand for everything, and I stand for nothing. Well, what does that mean? Well, basically, what it means is I like to sit on the fence in judgment of both sides of the fence. Why do you like to do that? Because it sets me above all others. Oh, I see. I see. You never actually take a strong stance in any direction. You just judge other people's stance in order to put yourself above that. I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay. Okay. That is pretty cool. That's a nice technique. That is a nice trick. Your kung fu is strong. Yes, it was and is painful and cringe to watch. Here. Let me put you in the matrix. All right. All right. By the way, by doing that, your name appears in green. By sending a super chat, your name appears in green. All right.
The men say it's just women's fault because they're thinking about it from the lens of their shitty ex-wife or their shitty mother, right? So if we're just continuing to do that, we go nowhere. But if we can all, as a collective, go back to whose fault it actually is, and the fact that
it's Whitey's fault. Whitey is the reason. Like, here's the problem. Here, I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all who is the problem. Hold on. Hold on. Here he is. This is the bad guy. This guy right here is the root of all black problems. The old white man with unlimited power. That is the guy. This is the face that pro-blacks see when they look for somebody to blame. This guy right here. He's elderly. He's surprisingly powerful, but his power does not come from his physicality. His power comes from his whiteness. This is the epitome of black problems. Every crack baby is made by this guy. This is the one. He's the reason that they're fat. He's the reason that they twerk. He's the reason why they fuck. He's the reason they never work. This guy. He's the villain. This guy. He be killing. This guy. Crips and blood. This guy. Killed black love. This guy. This is the white man. That he's about to blame.
It helps their cause for us to continue to bicker amongst ourselves. I think we can make some positive progress. But, both things can be true. And that's why, even though I'm not a Muslim, I appreciate the work the Nation of Islam does, the Fruit of Islam, because say what you will about them, they got their shit together. The men stand up straighter. The women know they're protected and they're able to rest in their femininity, like we say. So these things are possible, but I think we have to move the conversation past just this person's at fault, that person's at fault.
You made a good point that I really, really like, and then I'll stop asking you questions so you can ask me questions too.
Sure.
You said that dysfunction is a cycle, right? So if we're seeing dysfunction in the Black community, meaning like, the as I said, the baby mama isms, the obesity rates, the fact that a lot of women chose welfare over their men. We see the combativeness. I mean, we can't deny that there are more women in lace fronts and BBLs than they are with their natural hair and real bodies in media. That's what the community is looking like. So if that dysfunction is a cycle, if that's the cycle that's going on in the village, why ask the man to stay loyal to the village if that's what the village is reciprocating?
Number one, the dysfunction has always been a tool of the white capitalistic agenda. So,
are you talking about this guy? Hold on. I want to show this guy when he says white capitalistic agenda. Hold on. Let me go back some.
the women know they're protected and they're able to rest in their femininity, like we say. So these things are possible, but I think we have to move the conversation past just this person's at fault, that person's at fault.
But this person is at fault.
You made a good point that I really, really like, and then I'll stop asking you questions so you can ask me questions too.
Sure.
You said that dysfunction is a cycle, right? So if we're seeing dysfunction in the Black community, meaning like, as I said, the baby mama isms, the obesity rates, the fact that a lot of women chose welfare over their men. We see the combativeness. I mean, we can't deny that there are more women in lace fronts and BBLs than they are with their natural hair and real bodies in media. That's what the community is looking like. So if that dysfunction is a cycle, if that's the cycle that's going on in the village, why ask the man to stay loyal to the village if that's what the village is reciprocating?
Number one, the dysfunction has always been a tool of
this guy,
white capitalistic agenda. So
this guy.
For instance, we talk about the Lizzos, right? We talk about
He made
the obese
Lizzo.
women
This
who have
guy,
the
this
audacity
guy.
of supermodels. It's
he's the reason why Lizzo's fat.
If I had a product, I had an outfit, and I was just selling it to supermodels. However, it's a lot more lucrative if I can sell it to a larger consumer base.
Why? Why is
the
it?
largest consumer base being women? Most women, especially in a Western context, are overweight according to the BMI. So what's better than me telling them they deserve everything? What's better than me telling them they're perfect the way that they are? Because it means I can sell them more stuff.
Yes.
Right? So again, we can have both conversations.
Something dark side.
Without having to scapegoat one person.
Something dark side. It is Emperor Palpatine that is making them fat. It is Emperor Palpatine that is making them twerk. And in order to get them to stop twerking, you can't just tell them to stop twerking. What you have to do is you have to challenge your father to a duel and then chop his hand off. And then when he is lightning fingering you to death, your father then sneaks up on him and throw him down the shaft of the Death Star. That is the only way. It would be a lot easier to tell the people to just don't twerk, but no, you have to kill. You have to kill Vader. You must destroy Emperor Palpatine. You must destroy Palpatine. Something dark side. Well, he's also acting like you got to be fat to sell him shit. You have a dress and you sell it to fat people as well as slim people too. Well, why don't you just make the people slim and then still sell them the dress? Dark side twerking.
Person. As you know, and one person from this perspective, Black women who are overweight as the victim, because when you have conversations with women who are overweight, some of the things that they tell you is that, you know, from a subconscious place, this weight is a defense mechanism. This weight is a result.
Now, I will say that is true. I do see the truth in that, because here, let me show y'all what I mean. All right. Here's what he means when he says the weight is a defense mechanism. You see, notice how the Jedi mind tricks do not work on the extraordinarily fat. Notice how the Force techniques does not work on the exceptionally large, the exceptionally big. So if you understand that there are Force wielders, remember, like this guy right here, he's a weak-minded fool because he's not fat enough. Luke was just like all over the place, like, you know, you will take me to your master now. And he's like, I will take you to my master now. You see, the Jedi mind trick didn't work on him, or it worked on the slim one. It didn't work on the fat one. And the reason why Lizzo looks like a baby hut is to protect herself from dark side influence. That is why the Hutts have their own community outside of the Empire. Their fat protects them. I repeat, their fat protects them from force wielders. The fat is lightning defense. He just said the fat is a defense mechanism. Don't y'all get it? That is why when Yoda says to Luke, "May the force be with you," the Hutts say to each other, "May the fat be with you." And that is what Black women say to each other. "May the fat be with you." And you too, my chubby friend. May the fat be with you. Fat protects you from white supremacy. It's their armor. Hot dogs.
Of things that they tell you is that, you know, from a subconscious place, this weight is a defense mechanism.
Ah!
This weight is a result of the trauma I suffered as a kid. This weight is subconsciously to keep other people away. Now, that's a different conversation than just, oh, look at that fat bitch over there stuffing her face, right? So as Black people, if we understand.
So the next time you see a fat bitch over there stuffing her face, you're supposed to say, "Oh yeah, that's armor. That's armor. That's a defense mechanism." Because you suffered so much trauma and so much turmoil and stuff that you have to eat whatever you want to eat. You know, that's how that works. Like, oh, yum, yum, yum. It's so traumatic. Yum, yum, yum. Slavery. Yum, 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 yum. That's you. How about this? Fuck that. Everybody was a slave. And if your ass is fat because of it, then you are going to be fat into perpetuity. It happened to everybody. Where's the fat ass descendants of the people that built the Great Wall of China? Where's the fat ass descendants of the people that built the pyramids? Where's the fat ass descendants of Rome? Of, you know, the ones that built the Colosseum and all that crap. Where are the fat ass? Let's go recent. Let's go recent. Where are the fat ass Haitians? Where are the fat ass Jamaicans? Where are the fat ass Colombians? Where are the fat ass Brazil? Where are the fat ass South Americans? What in the fuck? Why is it that, you know, the armor is only needed here in this generation? Where's the fat ass ones from 50 years ago? Where's the fat ones from 100 years ago? Where? How come the defense mechanism wasn't needed then? How come the defense mechanism wasn't there when white supremacy was at its greatest? When Palpatine was on the bus telling you to get your ass to the back. And you, where was your fat then? Oh, maybe that's why you had to get to the back of the bus, because they wasn't fat enough then, huh? Like, maybe if they were fat back then, it wouldn't have worked. Like, you know, no colors allowed. It's like, excuse me, sir, don't you know that I'm fat? Like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Well, I want some free ice cream. How dare you talk to me like that? Don't you see this belly? Make that make sense. Somebody just come up and say, you know, I'm the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. And it ain't no knacker badder than me. Motherfucker, you and Muhammad Ali. And you just say, who the fuck you talking to? I use those sheets as a Kleenex. I'm fat, motherfucker. You think you can lynch me? You think you got a rope big enough to lynch me? Nigga, I'm fat. I will eat that rope. And I will burn marshmallows on your fucking cross. Motherfucker, I am fat. Respect it. Jackass.
What was done to us, what was strategically done to us, and the reasons why those things are still being done today, we can have different conversations. From
the reason why those things are still being done today is because we're not fat enough yet.
from a different place. So, you know,
I gotta push back on that. I gotta push back on that a little. Maybe it's because of my my personal training background. I do agree that, you know, overeating can be caused by a lot of things. Like, so I personally have clients who are obese because of childhood trauma. Then wouldn't it be, instead of just sitting in the excuse, to go to therapy to resolve those issues? So it's not like, oh, look at that fat girl, look at that fat chick sitting over there anymore. Because no matter why you are fat, if you had childhood trauma or if you just love a pizza or two, it's still gonna be, oh, look at that fat chick over there. It's not the audience's, for lack of a better word, responsibility to say, oh, look at that fat chick over there. But no, don't say that because she was traumatized when she was little. Isn't it?
No,
accountability should be on her.
That's not what I'm saying, because I'm just as critical of Lizzo as anybody else. You know, I think it's irresponsible. I think, you know, it's important to seek therapy. It's important to get your mind and your body together. I'm not giving anybody passes. I'm talking about people who claim to want to move this conversation forward.
You are giving them passes by allowing them to blame other entities on something that's their responsibility, i.e. their health, is giving them a pass. By saying that they need it as some type of armor is giving them a pass. Now, because he is fat and he's protected from white supremacy as a result of it, he was able to get the bitch to submit. That is how you get a bitch to submit. You got to actually be like Jabba the Hutt. It's the only way. You actually have to use your fat to defeat white supremacy. Create your own community, and then you'll be able to chain bitches up and make them dance.
But are unwilling to take it past just look at that fat bitch, right? Like, from a conversational standpoint,
I haven't seen a fat person get arrested before. Okay, that's because they don't want to spend the extra taxpayer money on bigger handcuffs.
Especially as Black people, right? Like, this isn't, I'm not talking about the Fresh and Fits. I'm not talking about the lapeef networks. I'm talking about, as conscious, intelligent Black people, it is important that we're able to frame these things properly, especially if we are actually trying to change people, right? Like I said in the beginning, there's a difference between,
here's that tone talk,
talking about people, talking at people, and talking to people. So with talking to people, absolutely.
Talking about you to you. And really, I'm never actually talking to the fat bitches. I do talk about them, But that's to prepare other. I mean, aren't you talking about Emperor Palpatine?
Absolutely. I know that you were traumatized. However, it is still your responsibility to get yourself together. Those are two different conversations. And even your energy in delivering that is different if you're coming from a place of the context of what happened versus just, oh, this bitch is fat and we need to scold her for it.
Now, would you say that?
Once again, it's not really scolding them. I don't have an audience full of fat bitches that I just talk to all the time. Like, fat bitches don't line up to me and get scolded. I talk to people on how to deal with the fat bitches of the world. And the best way to deal with fat bitches is to pretend like you don't speak English when they look at you. That is the best way to try to get them to not try to nab your penis.
Because to me, it's sounding like, you know, we're being the tone police. It's like, yeah, she's fat, but say it nicely, you know, especially as content creators. Don't call them long, big bone bras. I know. Where's Matt? Matt, I know you in here. Hey, sis. It sounds as though it's borderline in tone police, right? I know when I was overweight, I could sit and listen to a content creator say, you know, obesity, blah, blah, blah. Look at this big bone sister, whatever. It's not until I in myself said, you know what, I need to drop this 30 pounds. I can't be at this weight for.
Damn, Chantelle, 30 pounds. First of all, congratulations. Second of all, damn. Now you're just walking around with no armor. Be careful, Chantelle. Palpatine to get you now. You're slim. You buried your armor. You reduced, you got rid of your armor now.
My height. So regardless of a content creator being quote unquote mean or you know, say in a nicer tone, shouldn't it, the accountability still be on the person who is overweight?
The accountability is still on the person who's overweight, but that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is if we get stuck in this place of middle school name calling and we don't advance past it, that's an issue, right? Especially if it's Black people talking to Black people, right? Like if we really want to exact change, we need to be able to, and not necessarily in a tone policing way, but just in a responsible with your voice, responsible dialogue way, we need to be able to talk in a way that people understand, right?
That is the definition of tone policing when you say responsible with your voice, just saying.
Right. So despite, you know, some qualms that I might have with other creators, or like Kevin Samuels, for example, I didn't agree with everything that he said, but he got the point across to the people he was talking to.
And he left a name behind for which you build your channel. Just saying. Sometimes I have to wear a bulletproof fat to let the other motherfuckers know I'm mad.
Right. So again, some people are just talking to hear themselves talk. Some people are just talking for catharsis. They want to get this off their chest. And this.
No, I want to get the fat off her chest. How about that? Now, notice how he's like, you shouldn't be talking about Black people in a certain way. And then he commits to talking about Black people. Other Black content creators, just saying.
This fat bitch that I'm making fun of today reminds me of the fat bitch who beat me up in middle school. We need to be able to move past that.
Nope. Fat bitches don't beat up people in middle school because, you know, if you can't fight them, you can run from them. What are they going to do? They're fat. Notice the shaming and shit that he's trying to put out there. He's trying to imply weakness and calling a fat bitch fat. Exactly. So it's okay for him to try to shame people who he believes is shaming fat bitches. Because you can shame shamers, you just can't shame shameful. That's a damn shame. Now, let's just say that is the case, right? Let's just say somebody like myself got my ass kicked by the fattest bitch in school, right? All the time. And I have this traumatic post-fat bitch syndrome. Where would my advocate be? Like all of this stuff about armor and, you know, a need for protection, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, wouldn't that apply to me? What if making fun of fat ass bitches was my food? What food is to fat bitches, because they can have their armor. You notice that? Like when dealing with a fat bitch, his technique is to find the source of their pain and to address that. Well, guess what, smartass? The source of my pain is fat ass bitches, whether they beat me up in junior high or not. Whether they licked their finger and put it on my birthday cake and then ate it, the whole damn cake in front of me, while making me sing happy birthday to her on my birthday. If that shit happened to me, then guess what? Why don't you attack her on my behalf, just like you're attacking Emperor Palpatine on fat ass bitch's behalf? Huh? They're the source of my pain. Am I not black? The source, the root of evil, for me, is a fat ass bitch.
Is all I'm saying. Like, we have to be responsible with our voices, with our platforms. Like, you're talking to 40,000 people. That's big. That's a football stadium.
I know it's crazy, right? But you see, even with that,
it's not a football stadium when they're fat. It's 3 football stadiums.
I find that no matter if I call a person big bone, fat, obese, a little chubby, if they're not willing to change, they're going to take it as offense, right? You can say anything, like you can sugarcoat it. You can walk on eggshells. You can do anything you want to.
Y'all see the pun? Y'all see the pun on Chantelle? You can sugarcoat it. I bet you all the fat people that was listening, ears perked up when that happened. You can sugarcoat? Oh. Did somebody say sugarcoat? Sugarcoat. Look at his tongue out. Sugar-coated human.
To say, to soften the blow. If that person is easily triggered by their insecurities, they're not going to do any, they're not going to change. And I find that a lot of times, especially doing content, people would want to distract from the message and focus on like the tone or how you say it, or if it's mean, or if you're being petty or stuff, and not actually highlight what's actually being said. I do understand where you're coming from, though, when you said tone can play a big factor, but there comes a point where it's like we're adults. put your emotions to the side. And if I call you big bone, look in the mirror, are you big bone? Right? Instead of getting offended by the term big bone. I did want to ask, I said I was going to ask you one question, but I want to ask you.
Let me respond to that first.
Okay.
I get that. Like, and that's the thing. I'm
Everything
Nigerian.
before a butt is bullshit.
We notoriously have a terrible tone, right? If you've met any of us, we're not like, what I do is an anomaly. But the point I'm making is, like, you have two assumptions to make, right? You can either assume that people can change or people can't change. If you assume people can change, what is the easiest, quickest, most effective route to exact or inspire that change? And then I would probably say something like, you can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar on certain.
Well, you could catch more fat bitches with honey than you can with vinegar, because vinegar requires that they ass cook. I'm not trying to catch them. You see this? Notice how his examples always make them fatter. Notice how his examples is making them fatter. His solution to the fat bitch problem is to give them honey. You could catch more flies with honey than you can. I'm not trying to catch them.
In certain occasions. And the other one is, if you believe people cannot change, I would ask the question, why are you talking to them? Why are you talking about them, right? So going back to...
You're not talking to them or about them. You're talking to the people around them and how to avoid them. Kind of like you don't talk to bullets. You just tell people how to avoid getting hit with one of the motherfuckers. You know, like when you're in war, you're not actually talking to the enemy. You're telling others to avoid the enemy. And if the enemy ever choose to talk to you, you could just be like, listen, you can either join my army, you can lead, follow, or get out the way. That is it.
With some of the Save Yourself Black Men hashtag posters, they supposedly believe.
Why are you talking to them if they're not going to change their way? By your logic, you shouldn't be talking to them or about them or anything, because you're not going to change their way. Right?
That the women that I'm talking to, the women that I'm talking about, or the women who might even be watching my content are beyond saving. So my question has been, then why are you here? Why are you watching the content?
I think it's not necessarily, if you made a great point, you made a solid point, and I can understand where you got that perspective. But hear this perspective, right? I don't necessarily think, and I can't speak on behalf of them. I don't know who leave in the comments on the page, but it's not necessarily if they can or cannot change. I think it comes down to if they're willing to change, because I think everybody can change, right? I mean, that's the reason for religion, right? For redemption and stuff. I think you can change. I think what a lot of men is, especially men with the SYBS thing, I think what they're finding is that
that's why it's BS. That's perfect.
SYSBM.
That's why it's bullshit. Yeah.
No disrespect to anybody. That was an accident. I find that they're more what they're observing.
Now, he thought it was an insult, but it really wasn't, because it wasn't really talking to anyone. Save yourself bullshit is kind of like bullshit telling other bullshit to save themselves from flies or something. Just saying.
Observing is that it's not if a woman can change or not, it's her willingness to change. And because the community enables a lot of her behaviors in terms of, like, we tend to pander to baby mamas, you know, there's WIC and there's food stamps. There are like programs for women with kids, but there's like literally none for men. I want to say like there's only like 4 or something like that homeless shelter for men, but like 100 million for women. So it's like, in a society that panders to women and their toxic behavior, why change?
So one of the videos on my channel that I'm the most proud of, it didn't get as many views, but I'm really proud of it. It's called The Anatomy of a Deadbeat Dad.
What the fuck does this have to do with her question?
That whole thing came about because one of my viewers reached out to me.
Answer the question.
He told me a story about, struggling with the, child support and the family court system as far as getting to spend time with his daughter, even though that the mother had custody. Now, what was interesting about this, number one, the mother is Ghanaian. The mother was a product of a man saving himself. He made the unfortunate mistake that I'm sure the passport bros and the save yourself bros will tell me, that he brought her to the West. But basically what struck me about his story, and he talks about this in the video, he says, if you went to a gas station and you knew that you can get free gas by hitting this pump 2 times, guess what you're going to do? You're going to hit the pump 2 times. So his perspective was one that didn't actually make the woman the antagonist. Like he talked about, you know what I'm saying? There are ways that she has made his life a living hell, but he was introspective enough to understand that the system was designed for her to exploit it for her own benefit, right? So we have to start the conversation with the system. So similarly, whether we're talking about obesity, whether we're talking about women's ego, and I deal with it on a daily basis, whether we talk about women's unwillingness to put their pride aside to digest the point, and there are numerous examples on my channel. You have to be able to say why. You have to be able to talk about the historical context because it leads to all this, right? Like I've said.
So the question was, why should a black man protect the community when there's nothing in the community for him? He gave an analogy about a gas pump that if you hit it 2 times, it dispenses free gas. Now, really, if you dig deep into that analogy, he's basically telling us to smack a bitch twice to get her to behave. But nevertheless, I see where he think he was going with that. Okay, let me stop right there. But the point is, he didn't answer the question.
Black male audacity fuels revolution, whereas black female audacity fuels capitalism. So if we're not coming from a place of context, of historical education, for the black conversation, again, I don't care what the white manosphere is talking about. The women are, doing this. I'm talking about black people. If we're not coming from.
You shouldn't really care about what anyone talks about and just focus on your own message, because that's what you're trying to encourage SYSBM to do.
From that context, we're wasting our time and, our breath even talking.
I like that story, and you said that she's aware that there is an opportunity to exploit the system. Mm-hmm. Having an opportunity to exploit the system, she still made the decision to exploit it.
No, she didn't.
So then,
no, she didn't. Hold on.
Yeah, the system is there. Mm-hmm. But kind of like the Planned Parenthood, that was a ridiculous excuse why the abortion rate is so high in the black communities, because they Planned Parenthood in our black, in the communities, but nobody is telling you to have unprotected sex. And then once you get pregnant, nobody is forcing you into Planned Parenthood. So yeah, the system, the government.
I like that. That's like the thieves saying it's the store's fault for making me want it so bad. I like that. You shouldn't put it there. You shouldn't have put it in front of me. You shouldn't have presented me with the opportunity to do wrong, because I have no moral foundations of my own. It's Emperor Palpatine's fault for putting the food in front of us.
The white man, the history, whoever can put these things in place all they want. The accountability still has to go on the person that's walking into it, that's exploiting those systems. What do you think?
That's my only point. We can talk about both those things simultaneously. I can talk about, like, when I'm talking to a black boy in high school, I can tell him simultaneously, yeah, you're more valuable to white people in prison than you are at a tech job. You know,
What whoever is telling, so that was a ridiculous decision to exploit it.
hmm
So then wouldn't the attention, yeah, the system is there,
hmm
but kind of like the Planned Parenthood, that was a ridiculous excuse why the abortion rate is so high in the black communities, because they plant Planned Parenthood in our black, in the communities, but nobody is telling you to have unprotected sex. And then once you get pregnant, nobody is forcing you into Planned Parenthood. So
Yes,
yeah,
they
the
are.
system, the government, the white man, the history, whoever can put these things in place all they want. The accountability still has to go on the person that's walking into it, that's exploiting those systems. What do you think?
that's my only point. We can talk about both those things simultaneously. I can talk about.
It's really only one thing, but he's not listening. Basically, she's saying that just because an opportunity to do wrong is presented to you, it's still up to the individual not to do it. Just because Oliver North put crack in a community, you can still not sell it to your own people. That is an option to not do that. But notice this: Chantelle Simone is now talking about personal responsibility. And now he's moving the conversation to the boys. Watch this. She brings up personal responsibility and accountability for your actions. And watch how he shifts from talking to the girls to talk about the boys.
About, like, when I'm talking to a black boy in high school,
You see?
I can tell him simultaneously, yeah, you're more valuable to white people in prison than you are at a tech job.
No, you're not. Try again. No, you're not.
But here is a code boot camp you need to go. We can have both those conversations.
Where? Where? But here's the code boot camp you could go to. Where? Where's the code boot camp that is for black boys? Now, I understand that there exist code boot camps online. So he would just kind of like be out there on some, Han Solo crap, doing it by himself. But then after that, he needs to use the results of that and pay it back to the community. Why?
However, we must.
Oh, but you want to know what does exist in the community, in my community? Let me show you. This is what exists in my community. Mm-hmm. Black Girls Code. What are girls saying? Let's see. Ah, Oh. Oh. Black girls all over the world are changing the face of technology. Oh. Okay. I see what's going on here. Oh, wait a minute. Black men are Okay. Black girls code, and it's a bunch of black men volunteering to help. Oh, so they're obviously receiving the benefits of the community from both black men and black women. But it does seem like we don't give a shit about our boys. That's what it seems like to me. Just saying. We remain focused on our mission to build pathways for black girls. Okay. So it seems like they should be the one that recontributes to their community. To embrace the current tech marketplace as builders and creators by introducing them to computer programming and technology skills. Let's work together to chart a new course forward and ensure there are more black women, tech founders, entrepreneurs, leaders, educators in the future. Fuck the boys. Fuck the boys.
Must have both those conversations. If we're only having one and ignoring the other, from a macro standpoint, we're not doing any favors to the masses of black people. Because again, I mean, even to allude to the FBA, non-FBA thing, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I found myself beefing with them at one point because they said, why is this non-FBA Nigerian coming over here and making our women look bad and trying to tell us our history, this, and that? One of the things I learned that the FBAs have an issue with non-FBAs.
What does this have to do with accountability?
Is a lot of times the white power structure uses non-FBAs as tokens of black progress, right? So they'll say, oh, look at making our women look bad and trying to tell us our history, this, and that. One of the things I learned that the FBAs have an issue with non-FBAs is a lot of times the white power structure uses non-FBAs as tokens of black progress, right? So they'll say, oh, look at these black doctors, look at these black lawyers, look at these black politicians. Black people must be doing better. We must have created restitution for every fucked up thing we did to black people. And then you realize, oh, this black doctor's name is Temitola. This black doctor's name is Chukwuemeka. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we must have both those conversations because this shit is complex. This shit is nuanced. And we cannot continue to use simple answers for complicated questions.
I think
you use the simplest answers for complicated question. The simplest answers is he did it. He did it. She weaponized welfare. It wasn't me. She even got her some fake hair. It wasn't me. I even seen her getting fatter. It wasn't me. I even heard her get louder. It wasn't me. Saw her drinking some soda. It wasn't me. Was the words that I told her? Was it me? Just constantly blaming Whitey. That is your answer to everything. I could see her getting pregnant. It wasn't me. She did it because he's bow-legged. It wasn't me. What the fuck? Stop blaming Whitey. There are no simple answers. Yes, it is. It's always blame Whitey.
I understand what you're saying, but I think how I'm seeing it is like you run the risk of shifting blame to the system if every time we're going to include the system. It's kind of like going back to the obese lady. Yeah, she's obese because we're going to use a funny joke. The one who said she's, black women are obese because Trump is racist, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, yes, sis, but you're also overeating and you're not working out as much as you're supposed to. So it's like that puts a lot of accountability and a lot of what's the word I'm trying to look for? It's like it puts power in the individual's hand to say, I can make the change. I don't have to blame outside factors and I don't have to blame the system because me myself can make the individual change. And before I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm seeing the super chat, guys, but I don't want to cut the conversation. So I'll read them after. I'll read them at the 1 hour mark before I give Alan his opportunity to ask questions. Go ahead, Alan.
Sure. Yeah, to respond to that, like I said, there's nothing empowering about ignorance, right? There's nothing empowering.
This, for instance, dude is just full of cliches.
The one black dude who made it out the hood. There's nothing empowering about that.
It is. Right? It is empowering. It's making it out the hood.
People. Therefore, we have to understand what
that is empowering, nigga. You made it out the hood. There's nothing empowering about being a black man with power. What the fuck? There's nothing empowering about being the black man that with power. Yes, it is. There's nothing empowering about being a black man that made it off the plantation. Yes, it is. It's called freedom. What the fuck? Where do they find these? Where do they find these people at? All right. All right. It says, GC, it's odd we have two examples of women being logical and men being emotional and passive aggressive. Yeah. Perlin Shan, interesting. It is. It is. I do think that both of them handled it like champs. And they kind of like let the guys defeat themselves. Absolutely.
Is shaping the actions of the masses.
Wait, so clarify that. Why is there nothing powerful about the one black man who made it out the hood? Clarify that.
Thank you, Chantelle, for speaking my brain.
Still in a state of disarray.
That's still empowering. Notice how he's trying to take that from you. Of course, that's why it's empowering, because that's why it's empowering to him, because the community is still in disarray. He made it away from a community that's in a disarray.
Because again, no, you're not going to be able to rely on the Caucasian community the way that you would be able to rely on your own people. So
the fuck you can't. You're not going to be able to rely on the Caucasian community the way you are able to rely on your own people. Tell that to the woman on welfare. I would love to hear you explain that to the woman on welfare. You're not going to be able to rely on white people the same way you can rely on your own community. Tell that to the woman on welfare, please. I would love to see her response to that. I would love to see that. Because wasn't it a non-black community that you was telling black boys to go to learn the code? Wasn't it? Wasn't it? Wasn't it? Wasn't it? Wasn't it? You need to go get yourself a coding boot camp, but that's relying on a different community. Shouldn't he rely on his own to teach him how to code? Shouldn't he go to black boys? Oh. Okay.
Again, that's where that symbiotic relationship where we owe a duty to, as we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, I owe duty to my siblings, my cousins, my family. You see what I'm saying? So, but unfortunately, we've been trained to believe that, and you'll see black people even today, and I've been guilty of it as well. Like, I want to be the only black dude in the office. You know, I want to be the only black dude at this event because for some reason it makes me feel like I'm special, right?
Okay. From what I understand, SYSBM dudes don't want to be the only black man that has saved themselves. That is why they're spreading their message to others. You know, that thing that you're telling them not to do? They're doing that because they don't want to be the only one. They don't want to be the only black men in such and such. So they spread their message to others. Like they don't want to be the only black man in Brazil or the only, you know, FBA man in Brazil.
Opposed to understanding that real power, real protection happens in groups. Real progress happens with collaboration.
That's true.
What the fuck? This dude just gave an example of somebody who made it out the hood themselves and then said real progress is done in groups. However, if you progress in spite of a toxic group, then you owe that group. You do not owe your progress to that group. Now, you can start in your own group of progressives, which I recommend brothers like that do. All right, I'm not going to do this whole thing, obviously, but I'll give y'all like 10, maybe 15.
You heard the story when Denzel Washington's daughter threw a fit because she didn't get a part in the movie. You heard that? In saying the one black guy who left the hood and he's supposed to turn back and save the others in the hood, wouldn't that be putting him at a huge disadvantage because it's the entitlement of the people in the hood, like the entitlement of not Denzel Washington. I messed up Idris Elba's name. Jeez, Idris Elba. The same entitlement that Idris Elba's daughter had is like, oh, well,
Denzel Washington did that. Idris did the same. Denzel Washington did that with his daughter. Okay, so they both did it. Hey, salute to them.
My daddy made it out, so he's supposed to. to help me, quote unquote, made it out the hood. So you're entitled to come back and help me. Doesn't that put the one black dude who make it out the hood at a huge disadvantage?
I've talked a lot about the black tax. I don't know if you're familiar with that term. It's basically, even though, me and Johnny might make the same amount of money, Johnny's coming from a family where they don't need his financial contribution, whereas I am the most educated or I'm the highest income earner. So I have more responsibilities than Johnny has. I understand the black tax. What I'm saying though is from a macro perspective, from a perspective of like a coalition of black men, like we're building in the manosphere, black men who are in communication across the world, across, from the East Coast to the West Coast. What we're building is a network. What we're building is to be able to collaborate, to be able to Voltron with like-minded black people who want to see black sovereignty, who want to see all the things that lead to better sons.
And SYSBM wants to see black male sovereignty. And you want to know what leads to better sons? Having them pulled out of pygmies. Once again, and I can't stress this enough, it begins with a pygmy's vagina, period. Civilization, earth, everything, humanity, it all begins with a pygmy vagina. The best thing you can do for your black son is assure that his mother is a pygmy. If you ain't fucking pygmies, you ain't fucking shit.
And better daughters, better men, and better women. That's what I'm talking about. So again, if we maintain this individualistic mindset that the West teaches us, that every man for himself, when it comes down to things actually happening, I think, history will show you that you'll look around and you'll see that you're all by yourself and you are.
How does the West teach us that? Just saying.
Pray.
What about networking with fellow black men who make it out the hood? So you made it out the hood, Johnny made it. Well, we're not going to use Johnny. You made it out the hood, Jimmy made it out the hood, JR made it out the hood, Michael made it out the hood. How about instead of you individual 5 men going back to save the Pookie and the Ray Ray in the hood, you guys just network with each other and form your own community and then build a better community, so you guys don't, your children won't have to be in a hood to make it.
See, Chantelle really understands my brain. She really, really do. I don't know if she wants this, but I hope her son is a nerd. I do. I do. I hope that her son is a nerd like me, and she names him after me. She names him GC. That would just be wonderful, because the brain set, I want like how my brain is in Chantelle's brain to seep into her kid's brain. Because remember, I didn't really see this. So like I'm getting this, like I'll say something and she'll say the exact same thing afterwards.
Out of.
So again, history. I was watching a documentary on Marcus Garvey a while back, and obviously, they couldn't interview him because it was like made in the 80s or something. But they interviewed a woman who was talking about, she was talking about her grandfather. Her grandfather was a Garveyite. And she talked about how her grandfather, his day job, he was in janitorial services. He was a janitor. She talked about how the first thing he would do after coming home from a hard day of work is go to the room, take a shower, and put on his Garvey regalia. Because for those few minutes after work, that's the only time he felt like somebody. That's the only time he had some dignity. From the perspective of white people, that uniform doesn't mean shit. But as a Garveyite, the uniform, the badges that you may have earned meant something to this coalition of people, these soldiers, right? So again, I'm talking about both. I'm talking about the black men who've made it out the hood, like some of the wonderful black men I've been able to meet through this work I'm.
Okay, her question was, why not instead of going back and trying to save those who truly don't want to be saved, nor do they respect their saviors? If they listen, if they really respected the saviors, the people that make it out the hood and then go back and try to save them, if they really respected them, they would call them Mr. Papadopoulos. But they don't. But they don't. Now, at the end of the day, Marcus Garvey was betrayed by a nigga. I repeat, Marcus Garvey was betrayed by a nigga that he was trying to quote unquote save. Not saying, just saying. So I think Chantelle has a point.
I'm doing, forming a network, right? And not building another community, but thinking about ways to strategically revitalize our community. Because again, that's what the Marcus Garveys did. That's what the Elijah Muhammad's did.
How did that work out for him? How did that work out for Marcus Garvey? Maybe they should have tried something new.
Right? The Malcolm X that we talk about now with such valor, he was a drug addict. Right? So again, you know, this idea that we don't see ourselves in one another. No, yeah, we do. Every black man that I look at and I automatically think he ain't shit. Subconsciously, I think that.
Okay. Good point. So Malcolm X was a drug dealer, a drug user, a pimp, etc., etc., etc. And then Elijah Muhammad built him up into something and gave him everything. And then he took from Elijah Muhammad. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of X, but look at it from Elijah Muhammad's point of view. He built him up, and then wasn't it Malcolm that kind of divided the nation and started like a de facto civil war type deal? Like, didn't he cause division in the nation after he built him up? Once again, I am a fan. Do not get me wrong. I'm just saying, from Elijah's point of view, he's a villain.
About myself. So this idea that's being perpetuated that we can divorce ourselves of ourselves is nonsense. And I think, you know, it's incumbent upon learned black men who understand context, who understand that history is cyclical, to take steps strategically in that direction, as opposed to this fairy tale idea of Jerusalem of black men who divested.
I thought when you said every black man, like you look on a black man and you think, you know, he ain't ish, that's a subconscious belief that you have for yourself. I want to give pushback on that, but we're already at the 1 hour mark and you need an opportunity to ask your question. Because when I look at, say, a big bone baby mama, I don't look and I say, you know, she ain't ish, which she's not. She had kids out of wedlock. She's not, you know, she broke her family. She not contributing positively to the community. I don't see that in myself because that's not we're not in the same categories. Like, at the end of the day, everybody has their own category. If you wanna emphasize on that in your 1 hour, feel free to. I did want to ask you this question because I think this is the question that sparked the so-called beef between Courtney, Michelle, and I. Barry Hamilton, shout out to you. I know you're in the chat. Had asked over on Zoom to Thailand's live. He said, to everyone, Courtney, there are 350 Vivica A. Foxes currently in the Black community. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, both things can be true. I don't think that's wrong.
What do you mean both things? Can you clarify?
Well, both things can be true. I think that's true. What he said is true. However, my follow-up question would be, why is that?
Right? Because.
All right. She mentioned one thing, and he did this before, and I called it out, and now she's calling it out. He always just says both things can be true because he's a natural fence rider. He's one of those people that you know, you ask him like, hey, or you make a statement like, that Lord of the Rings was good, but it was inconsistent with the books. Well, both things can be true. Like, excuse me? What's 2 + 2? Both things can be true. Like, that is his go-to statement because he's a fence rider. She said one thing, and he said both things can be true. And then when she said, what's both things? He listed one, and then he went into his standard point. You know, one of the talking points that he said several times already in the thing. Hold on. Listen to how this happened.
Zoom to Thailand's live. He said, to everyone, Courtney, there are 350 Vivica A. Foxes currently in the Black community. What are your thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts on that singular? What are your thoughts on that one thing? That there is a shortage of Courtneys. What is your thought on that one thing? That one thing. Let's hear his response.
Again, both things can be true. I don't think that's wrong.
He says that about each and every single thing. Both things can be true. You know, kind of like she's watching a Marvel movie right now, or she's finishing it up, or she's watching a DC movie. She's watching Black Adam. And you were to say, hey, so do you think I should go see that Black Adam movie? Well, both things can be true. What? Both things can be true. I just asked you if I should, do you recommend me watching that movie? And you're saying both things can be true. What the hell? And she's looking like, I'm happy I'm a pick-me.
Vivica A. Foxes currently in the Black community. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, both things can be true. I don't think that's wrong.
What do you mean both things? Can you clarify?
Well, both things can be true. I think that's true. What he said is true.
You don't know what he said. You have forgotten what he said. But you're supposed to say, and I think what he said is true, and I think what's the other thing you think is true? There is no other thing.
I don't think that's wrong.
What do you mean both things? Can you clarify?
Well, both things can be true. I think that's true. What he said is true. However, my follow-up question would be, why is that?
Yep. He's not really stating the question. He was not paying attention at all. Well, I think both things can be true, even though it's one. My follow-up question is, why is that? And that's a question that can apply to anything, which is really his way of trying to get her to repeat the question because he wasn't listening.
Right?
Because
like
the
why?
oh
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
because of the incentive that we talked about earlier when we said that there's the ways for this black women to exploit the system, the welfare, all these things to keep their men always to say I'm strong, independent, and they decided to exploit it. That's why then to everyone, Courtney, there are 350 Vivica foxes.
Yes. Now, for us to move that conversation forward, we must understand that she wasn't just born like that. The Vivica A. Foxes weren't just born like that. There was a series of things that happened prior to her birth, during her birth, and after her birth that led her down that path. And if we are people who claim to care about the Vivica A. Foxes, care enough to talk about it, we must be thinking about how do we stop other little black girls who are currently going down the path of Vivica A. Fox to not become that. But we can't have that conversation if we're just going to black and white and overly trivialize and simplify things. And to a point I made during one of my streams, one of the one of the remnants, one of the vestiges of slavery and Jim Crow, it convinced us as black people that we deserved our suffering. Right? It convinced us on some subconscious level, because again, psychology is tricky, that we deserve our dysfunction, we deserve our suffering. And the only way change happens is if you're able to look past that predisposition. So if we want to see more Courtney Michelles, if we want to see more women who, as imperfect as they may be, are willing to listen, are willing to take notes, are willing to move in the direction of what they talk about, we must promote that behavior, right? As opposed to spending time fixating on the behavior we don't want to see more of. And the Woman King came out recently. I did a stream and I talked about it in the stream, but I referenced O'Shea, because initially I was going to go a different way with my comment on the movie. But O'Shea made a fantastic point. He said, basically, instead of us as black men bitching about the fact that they're showing black women being intellectually and physically superior than us, why aren't we putting our money behind black men who are telling the story the right way? I mentioned Nate Parker because that's the only one I could really think about. But, as men, I think the more we pour into what we want to see more of, whether that means supporting the manosphere, whether that means supporting black male.
Yes, y'all should support the black manosphere. But that aside, O'Shea don't be making no damn sense sometimes. I'm gonna be honest. But that aside, a white woman just made a movie that corrupted the image of black women. And notice, where was this talk? Where was this talk? A white woman wrote and directed a movie full of machete-wielding black bitches. Now, this is obviously some Emperor Palpatine shit, but he don't mention it there. He don't mention it there. Interesting. Oh, and by the way, we do support black movies, black male movies. It's called Black Panther. Oh, yeah, that one. I hate when people like, oh shit, just make these just shut up arguments.
Media, whatever that might be for you, the more we can change the narrative. But unfortunately, I think where we are currently, and that's where I'm hoping to.
Oh shit, I'm done. Okay.
Is
Okay. All right. So with that, I want to thank the Cash Apps and Super Chats, managers and moderators. Actually, fuck that. I can't believe that they were saying that. So Black women makes movies just to show themselves besting Black men. And their answer is to ignore the fact that they just did that. Oh, and by the way, O'Shea is obviously SYSBM. He's obviously passport bro. Like he's been living in Uganda since Adam met Eve and shit. So he's obviously one who has checked out. So he's gone. And we should stay and fight this fight. So they make a movie and then we make a movie about Black men outdoing Black women. And what does that solve? Wasn't you the fence rider? Wasn't you the one who was saying, you know, oh, we shouldn't be doing this back and forth, Black men versus Black women. We shouldn't be trying to, you know, lessen the image of each other. We're all Black people, but when they do something, we should do it back to them. What the fuck? How about just don't fuck with the homie bitches and those of their ilk? What? Sneak this Chantelle on her own show. Well, I don't know. I did hear some of that towards the end, but I don't really have time to cover the whole thing. Maybe tomorrow. But really, I don't really feel like I have to cover the whole thing because he's just saying the same shit over and over again. So it's not even worth doing. Like it's always, you know, shame Black men, blame white men, and absolve Black women. That's all he's doing. Now, every now and again, he'll say, oh, I'm not absolving Black women. I do think that they need to, you know, get better and lose weight. But, and everything before the word but is bullshit. But we have to talk about the source of that. Because in order to lose weight, you need to know Marcus Garvey's shoe size. And once you know Marcus Garvey's shoe size, then you won't need the armor of fat to protect yourself against what? Bitch, just lose weight. Oh, no. Before they actually become a better bitch, we must understand and we must empathize that it is the tone of the white man and his lightning fingers and his red lightsaber that's made with the synthetic kyber crystal that has made her that way. Now, you may be wondering how come the Jedi used the natural crystal and the Sith used the synthetic crystal. But the reason that they use that is what is making the current Black women fat. Now, once you get to the bottom of that, then you can have an even-toned conversation about why this bitch is fat. And then you must understand that this problem isn't going to be solved overnight. This is going to take generations. So if you find a 20-year-old fat bitch right now, then if you wait another 25 to 30 years, then what will happen is she won't be fat anymore. And you'll have yourself a nice, slim, fit 50-year-old women to start a family and a community. You can begin at that point with a family and community out of her 50-year-old vagina, you know, and all the people that saving themselves shouldn't have been saving themselves and starting a separate community. They should have just waited for the fat bitch to understand history and protect herself from the evil white supremacy, because slavery happened in both my ancestors and yours. It's just that my ancestors was the ones enslaving yours, and because of that, y'all are all fucked up. And the reason that we're fucked up is because after that, colonization happened, and because of that, our women aren't fat, but they have a separate issue, and they have adoration for the desire to be fat, to use the protection that your women have done in order to protect themselves against the evil white Palpatines of the world. And which reminds me of the synthetic crystal that Palpatine uses that gives his lightsaber a red glow. You see, he fights in the form 4 of the lightsaber duelist, while Lord Vader fights in the form of 7. Now, 7 dispenses a lot more energy, and that is the way that you truly beat white supremacy. But you must understand that in order to beat white supremacy, you must recognize it first. You see, people thought that Chancellor Palpatine wasn't a Jedi or wasn't a Sith, but it turns out that he was a Sith all along. Now, once you understand that, my friend, then you will get rid of the fat bitches. You understand me? That's this nigga. That is what we've been listening to the whole damn time. The whole damn time. So now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. So, with that, thank the Cash Apps and Super Chats, managers and moderators, those who listen silently, those who participate in the chat. Hit that like button on your way out. GameChanger 00100. Game over. Peace.